Good morning, Shield of Faith. My name is Solomon Green. I apologize that I'm not there with you guys today. I am back in Sacramento. I'm back in school. I had a little testimony to share with you guys on something that happened to me during this period of consecration. I woke up one morning. It was a Wednesday morning, and I finished reading the scriptures that were assigned for that day. And God told me to just put on some worship music in my room. And this was probably like 9:30 in the morning. And as I was worshiping, I was just, I was singing along, and I was kind of getting into the rhythm of things. And then I started to feel the heat started to rise in my room. I thought it was just getting hot, but it was a different kind of heat. And as I kept on worshiping, the heat began to be inside my body as well. And then I began to actually worship God, worship the Lord in my room. And I was lifting my hands and I was, praising Him. And this is the first time I've ever actually worshiped God on my own in my room. Like I've done it in church, but never by myself in my private time. It was just a really new experience. And as I was worshiping Him, tears began streaming down my face, and everything. It's like God's glory it came into the room itself, like the Shekinah glory, and He was speaking to me, and it was I've heard God speak before on multiple occasions, but this time it was like I could hear Him and I could feel Him speaking at the same time. And so after my worship playlist ended, God told me to go into the shower. So I took a shower, and probably 2 hours had passed. And so as I was going to the shower, the heat in my body, it was beginning to rise a little more. And so I gathered my materials for my shower, and then I turned on the shower. I got in, and then all of a sudden I just started saying Jesus, and I said it about 3 times, and then it became involuntary. It became involuntary, and I just kept saying it over and over and over and over again, and I couldn't stop. And every time I said it, my body just kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And it was like I was on a stovetop. It was because the heat was beginning to rise from my feet. And like I just began to move around in the shower. And I just kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I just kept saying the name Jesus. And every time I said it, God was showing me a vision. And every time I said the name Jesus, He was doing something for complete strangers that I had never seen before. Like I would say Jesus, and someone would not get hit by a car. I would say Jesus, and someone would, they would be giving their life to Christ. They'd be like rushing up to the altar. I remember this one specific lady. God probably showed me between 500 and 600 people while I was in the shower. And this one lady, she was 80 years old. And she was all by herself in her home. And she began to have a stroke. And she fell down, and the stroke began. And God took me to go inside her body. And I was looking at her brain, and I saw the blood clot right in her brain. And as I was looking at it, I said Jesus. The blood clot, it was like God literally reversed time. The blood clot shrank up, and then everything just happened in reverse. The stroke was only maybe 10, 12 seconds in, and then it ended, and it was going backwards, and then she just got up and just started going about her day. And I just realized that God had just reversed time, and it was so weird, because God can do anything, but when you actually see him do it, it's completely different. And pretty much I was in the shower, and then I finally came out because I just felt like I had the urge to just run. And so I got out of the shower, turned off the water, and as I stepped out and I opened the door, the heat like tripled. It's like I went from a stovetop to being inside of an oven. And the heat and the glory of God and the anointing was just so strong that I couldn't stand anymore. And I just fell onto my knees, and I just kept saying Jesus, like, more and more and more. And I was already crying in the shower while I was saying it, but now I was like sobbing, like, heavily. And then I just began to run around the house. And I probably did like 2 or 3 laps around the living room and the kitchen area. And then God told me to go outside, and I only had my robe on. And so when I opened the door, God showed me an illuminated path, and he said, just walk along that. And I was still saying Jesus involuntarily. And every time I kept saying the name Jesus, and every time I took a step, God was doing something, and it was just so powerful. And then as I kept on picking up pace as I was moving along. And so I had done like 2 laps around the house, and then God took me to our backyard, and he showed me a new vision. He showed me things that he's going to do, some things that are almost unprecedented. He's going to do things that will have no logical explanation. He told me, I remember this specifically. He said he's going to shrink some tumors, and he said he's going to cancel some debt. I don't know if it's student, I don't know if it's whatever kind of debt it is, but he's going to shrink some tumors, and he's going to cancel some debt. And he said that if you don't put him first in your life, and he was also talking to me, like, this isn't just for you, this was also for me, but if we don't put him first in our lives this year, we're going to miss out on our blessing. And he has so much in store for us. I was just overwhelmed at what he showed me. And as he was showing me that vision, he showed me another vision similar to Dr. Marty's dream of the people walking along the street and buildings coming down on the sides and like the billboards. God was showing me us, like, a bunch of people just walking down a street, and as we kept going like 1/10 of a mile, people would just fade away, kind of like in Infinity War when Thanos snapped his fingers. People just started vanishing like that, and they just started just being gone with the wind. And as we kept on progressing, more and more people started to fade. But the more we kept on pressing, the more we kept going, God was just doing more and more for those. It's like the group just got, like, you could just feel the presence of the group just getting stronger. It was almost like when the Israelites are marching around Jericho, and they go on that 7th time, you just feel, and you feel something is about to happen, and it's just so powerful. I can't really describe it because it was just so awesome. But anyway, my whole point is to say, don't miss what God has for you in 2019. Put him first and keep him first and watch what he does. And also, I have to admit that I'm going to be 20 in February, and for the past pretty much 20 years, I've been a carnal Christian. And I prayed, I worshiped here and there, but I never took God seriously, and I never put him first. But when Bishop Lenwood first came on January 6th, I felt the sermon really grabbed my attention, and it made me put God first in my life, and I was just so humbled. But then on the 16th, when this whole vision happened, it was like I had done a complete 180, and I've been running towards God, and I'm not looking back. So all I can say is, youth, like God can use you, and he's gonna do something with G to G. I don't know what it is, but he's gonna be transforming us individually, as a group, and we just gotta put him first. That's all I can tell you. And so I appreciate you listening to my testimony, and I hope that this blesses you.